Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm sorry I cannot be with you, but with this video message I try to give a little contribution. Unfortunately, I am in this moment working on our transatlantic relations. While you see this video, I am in the United States for our bilateral relations with the European Union. In this mandate, I am working a lot on this topic as chair of the Delegation for Relations with the United States. We already had the chance to discuss together on the artificial intelligence, on which I was the negotiator for the AI Act, the first regulation. But now I am also working on a very important topic, which I think is crucial for every endeavor, be it regulating digital technologies or having constructive relations with other parts of the world, so referring to what I was mentioning before. And I'm talking about the need for the institutional reforms of the European Union. In fact, at this moment, I am the rapporteur for the European Parliament on the institutional implications of the Draghi Report, the very famous report authored by Professor Draghi that is focused on signaling which are the choices that we need to take as European Union to become more competitive and to bridge gaps that we have with other parts of the world, including the innovation gap. But the report also deals with decarbonization, with security, and it has a very important part on the governance. It concentrates on the fact that the EU, as it is today, is unable to take the necessary decisions with the necessary speed and the necessary means. So the report explains, and we support it with my draft text that I just presented to the Parliament, that is now in discussion with other political groups. The Draghi Report rightly underlines the need to expand the European budget, that is today 1% of the European GDP, to have more common debt to be issued like we did during COVID, to build more common resources for common investment, for a real industrial policy that can be promoted at European level. And also, the report underlines the need to overcome the veto power, so the unanimity rule in certain very crucial subjects, from fiscal rules to foreign policy to budgetary decisions, which are now bound by the unanimity of the member states in the Council, which means a lot of pressure for slow, complicated and not very ambitious compromises. So I think Draghi Report very rightly concentrates on the need to overcome this way of deciding. We support it. In my report, I also say that we should follow the intuition that is in the Draghi Report text, that although we can and we should overcome this way of deciding by reforming the treaties, we can also use the parallel passerelle clauses. This is the name, the clauses in the treaties to actually overcome the veto system without reforming the treaties, or even be more radical. If there is no way to actually move on these topics, let's choose that a group of member states, a group of countries steps forward together with a further treaty, with an integration treaty that is in parallel with the existing ones. We need to be creative. We need to be determined. When we decided to have the Next Generation EU during COVID, I remember very well, I was already an MEP, I was negotiating on the topic together with working together with the late President David Sassoli, that was instrumental for this result to be achieved. And we have seen at the time that member states that were convinced that we needed to do the Next Generation EU recovery program, they at some point said, if the other member states do not want to negotiate, we will do it by ourselves. We can start as a group of member states. When we said that, everyone's decided to go back to negotiations. So I think that being bold and clear on the need that is clearly felt by a large number of Europeans and by some governments, I would say also to actually take some further steps on integration of the industrial policy, of common investment, of common social policy, on defense. We have different areas, some of them also quite well developed in the Draghi Report in terms of policy proposals, where we can do more together, more efficiently. How can we compete? You know I work on AI, but how can we compete, for example, on AI with China or US that are states that do not have market fragmentation at our level, that have strong authorities that have created, for example, unified capital markets, that can enact a unified industrial policy. So we need to act, as Draghi has said, exactly close to where I'm recording in the plenary of the Parliament. During a hearing some months ago, he said clearly the EU should act more as a state. I think he's right. I think this is what we should be doing, because if we want to discuss at the same level and take decisions in front, vis-à-vis big powers, I mentioned China and US, how can the EU stay as a loose coordination of 27 member states? We need to step up our integration. We need to find the ways for that to happen quickly and effectively. And this is what we will continue working on as Parliament with this report and with our proposals to strengthen European sovereignty and European capability of deciding with stronger institutions. Thank you very much. I hope I gave you some food for thought, as they say, and thank you for inviting me once again and for your interest also on this very important topic of the institutional implications of the Draghi Report and the direction that the Parliament is currently discussing and foreseeing, because, as I said, the world is moving and it's time to take decisions. Thank you very much.